Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about the Khorne rework in Total War Warhammer 3, Omens of Destruction, because there have been quite a few changes made for Khorne with Omens of Destruction. Previously, I was not a big fan of Khorne because it felt very one-dimensional. You just fight a lot of battles that you'd easily win. You wouldn't have access to a great variety of troops. You wouldn't have access to a great variety of heroes, and maintaining more than one proper army, well, good luck with that. That has changed. You could say it's slower as a playstyle, though don't get me wrong, if you're playing a Skarbrand campaign, you can still dominate the map pretty fast, regards to it. But when you look at Arbol and Skulltaker, I can't talk about Skulltaker, but let's just say they are also focused on a combat playstyle, obviously, though in different ways. I'll talk about Arbol in a separate video, and the Legendary Lords, the reworked ones, the new ones, all that, separate videos. But talking about Khorne, first and foremost, in terms of post-battle loot, I do feel you gain a lot more skulls from raising settlements in the name of Khorne. So over here, I have over 100,000 skulls in this campaign, turn 45. Though I certainly was, I was in the tens of thousands by like turn 20 or so. And I showed a video where I took out the garrison of Zarnagrun at like, what was it, turn 27 something around. Army diversity has been increased. You get more skulls, you get more money. One of the problems that existed for Khorne was just being able to afford stuff. That's no longer really as much of a problem because blood hosts no longer cost money to maintain. And they're also chained. Yes, Skarbrand can still make massive blood hosts, but it's not really the same for everyone else. You can still get some pretty good blood hosts. You may have to research for it through the Khorne research tree. So you do get more skulls, you get more money from a practical level. Recruitment is cheaper, at least in terms of local recruitment. So if I look over here, costs of units are far more normal than they were before. Just recruiting a unit of Chaos Warriors or Bloodletters would be ridiculously expensive before. Now, with the skulls, you now have the new Skull Throne. You also have those demonic actions, summoning an army, though that's not available for Arbol. I'll just load up a Skarbrand campaign to showcase the changes there. But with regards to Skull Throne, you now have this meter, which they've basically taken it from the Cult of Sotek. Somewhat similar, the mentality is similar. And what you get over here is you get a higher chance of colonizing ruins. You still have that mechanic of colonizing ruins. Taking over settlements still costs skulls, even though you get more skulls. So you get that extra chance. Then you have income from post-battle loot plus 25%. You get the Summon from Beyond ability for all armies, for Bloodletters. Next Blood Host will have 2 additional units. Then on the second tier, you get recruit rank, global recruitment benefits, Hungry Blades for melee attack, armor piercing, and base weapon damage, growth and control through the Endless Fuel. Then next tier, you can either replenish the faction leader's army movement range or replenish the HP of units in the faction leader's army. And then at the highest tier, you can instantly summon a Blood Host at the faction leader. So that's what you're doing with skulls beyond just, taking over settlements. Now, with regards to settlements, some changes over here. Now, the actual money you generate with Khorne from buildings has been reduced, but you do get a bunch of post-battle benefits, income from sacking and looting settlements benefits, income from raiding benefits, with the trophy hole globally. So you actually end up realistically earning more money, fighting battles, sacking settlements, looting settlements. You get more money through all of that. But now there is a key differentiation between mortal settlements and demon settlements. So if you look at these buildings, right, they both give you growth. They both reduce upkeep by minus 20% at tier 4. So growth, upkeep reduction, all that usual stuff that you would expect. So there's no difference in terms of like what they're offering, but the difference is in terms of the buildings you can construct. So with demonic settlements, you can construct Coronate Furnace, you can construct the Foundry of Skulls, and you can construct the battlefields. You can't construct the mortal buildings. With a mortal settlement, you can make the arsenal, you can make the brass ziggurat, and you can make the coronate totem. So they're trying to make a difference between mortal settlements and demon settlements. Now, I would personally say, with the exception of a couple of units, that for the most part, mortal settlements are worth it more. You do get more heroes because you can recruit 2 heroes from mortal settlements as opposed to just 1, which is the Blood Reaper. You do have 3 hero types with regards to Khorne, but you can get Chosen, Wrathmongers, all that, heavy infantry, as opposed to just, Bloodletters. There are obviously some useful things from demonic settlements, things like Bloodthirsters, Blood Crushers, Skull Cannons, all that. But I do think mortal settlements are ultimately in a lot of ways better. Though keep in mind, Blood Reapers do give you campaign movement range as opposed to training that you get from an Exalted Hero of Khorne, or replenishment that you get from a Cultist of Khorne. But given the way Honor Resolve works, mortal armies, which by the way our build is focused on, mortal armies seem to be better. I mean, they were already better, that hasn't changed. That is a problem. Like, they've tried to change it around with like, oh, demons can come back after a battle. I'm gonna say it flat out. I find using demons, at least using bloodletters, to be a waste of time. That's just my perspective on it. The building, by the way, that they do share is with regards to the domain of slaughter. So regardless of which settlement you're going for, be it mortal or demonic, you're always going to have the domain of slaughter building chain. So you can get slaughter brutes, minotaurs, spawn of Khorne, blood beasts of Khorne, Khorne gores, forsaken of Khorne, and chaos warhounds of Khornes. By the way, getting the Hound of Khorne legendary hero is a bit trickier because you do need that here for trophy haul. And one substantial change is that your bloodletting no longer gives you global growth. So you kind of grow your settlements a bit slower. You might have to get the War Crucible in every settlement to get a decent level of growth. Though there are some ways around that. But those are the changes with regards to recruitment. I do feel you get more money, you do get more skulls, but you do have lower growth, unless you're constructing stuff. On the flip side, you may occupy a lot more settlements as Khorne in a campaign than you did before. Don't get me wrong, Khorne is still about mobility on the campaign map. It's still about going out there in various locations. But you also may play a more, traditional playstyle with regards to Khorne as well. So that's with regards to buildings. When it comes to Khorne corruption, so you get a plus 20% reforge chance, demon reforge chance, with max Khorne corruption, and chance to automatically colonize is increased by 10%. In terms of the research tree, you get pillars and armaments. Personally, I haven't bothered with armaments in any of the Khorne campaigns, and I've tried all of them. I haven't bothered with armaments in any of the core campaigns because Khorne has a good army. I don't need more powerful units with Khorne. What I need is various faction effects. So what you get with Pillars of Pride, you get things like recruitment cost, upkeep, income from buildings, income from sacking settlements, income from raiding, and post-battle loot. By the way, to unlock, you do need to fight a certain number of battles to unlock the highest level, but this is pretty fast. With Wrath, you get Skullthrone benefits. So cooldown -2 for individual Skullthrone rituals. Bloodhost summoned via the Skullthrone will be led by an Exalted Bloodthirster, so that can be really fun. Extra skulls, more Skullthrone, skulls for the Skullthrone over here. And crucially, at the first tier, you get chance to automatically colonize ruins in your provinces. Now, when you raise a settlement, you do have you do prevent that settlement from being colonized for 3 turns. This is important because the benefit here, from my point of view, is not just like, oh, you're preventing a faction. No, the way the AI works, like the AI is not going to start moving, at least from my experience, it's not going to start moving towards these ruined settlements until these 3 turns expire. That was one of the question marks. So the AI will not even start moving armies to colonized ruins until these 3 turns expire, so it does give you a decent amount of time to take those ruins yourself one way or another, if you want to. Pillars of Rage. So Pillars of Rage give you various benefits with regards to demons and armies. So highest level, Demons Reforged, then you have character experience, Favored One, hero capacity for Exalted Heroes, hero recruit rank, ward save, hero capacity for Blood Reapers, Lord recruit rank, hero capacity for cultists, all that good stuff. So basically hero capacity, recruit rank, hero recruit rank, Lord recruit rank through the Pillars of Rage. Pillar of Honor. So this is going to be focused on settlements. So you start with Khorne Corruption, then you move on to Diplomatic Relations and Control. You get 10 growth per region after winning a battle in all provinces, defensive supplies, additional 10 growth for the commandment that gives you growth, and then the Way of Wrath, construction time -1 for all buildings, minimum of 1 turn. Then you have Pillars of War, which does provide various benefits to Blood Host, except the general. But you get campaign movement range for Blood Host, 2 Flesh Hounds for Blood Host, Blood Letters of Khorne unit on creation. Blood Letters are replaced with Exalted Blood Letters. You get the Soul Grinder. You get add a further Bloodthirster unit on creation. Then Pillars of Prowess. So you get combat benefits for Blood Host. So you get speed for all units in Blood Host, melee attack in Blood Host, an initial Bloodthirst attrition immunity turn, weapon strength, charge bonus, armor, melee defense, and an additional Bloodthirst attrition immunity. So I would say like Pillars of Honor, like the Pillar of Honor is probably what you want to invest in, but you would also probably want to get like War Leaders. So like, yeah, getting War Leaders pretty early on is pretty beneficial. Then focus on Pillars of Honor, at least to get like So Death, Reblood benefit. Like the other 2 can wait. And some benefits for Blood Host. Like the other things like in Wrath and all that, like you would want the Spread Rage, but everything else is kind of... I mean, it depends on what you want to focus on, but that's just my personal perspective. Commandment-wise, let's just go over it. So you do have like Control, Khorne Corruption. Then you get Kill for Khorne, Recruit Rank, Local Recruitment Capacity, Recruitment Cost, Blood Tributes, Upkeep, Post-Battle Loot, and income from all buildings in the province. And Monuments of Rage, Growth, Construction Cost, and Winds of Magic Power Reserve, which obviously Winds of Magic work very differently for, like, when you're thinking about, like, Winds of Magic for Khorne, obviously that's a bit of a different discussion, really. So those are the changes with regards to research, the changes with regards to buildings, the changes with regards to the Skull Throne. Let's talk a bit about army leaders and heroes. Actually, I'll start with heroes because I think that's probably for the best. So you get Skarbrand, Wrath, Skilla over here, Karnak, of course. Like Karnak, same stuff as you'd expect before. With regards to Skullblood Wrath, I'm not sure if I can show you that. I think CA is fine with it, but maybe I shouldn't discuss the skill trees just yet. So I won't. I'll just err on the side of caution. I can use them in battle. I don't know. Like, it's tricky. Like, CA does... I have no clue. So I'm not just going to focus on that. But with regards to Cultists of Khorne, so... we still have the melee skill line over here. Then we get the choice right here between unit experience for the entire army, Demons Reforged benefit, or campaign movement range and hero action success chance. Then we get Men of Hound, which gives you armor for Marauders of Khorne, Skull Reapers, and Wrathmonger units, which are basically Chaos Warrior units or Chosen units, but with less armor but more melee capabilities. So Skull Reapers are basically, the way I personally describe Skull Reapers is like, they're effectively Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual weapons, but less armor, more melee capability over there. Also, like, yeah, you can get chosen at tier 3 through the Khorne tribute. You can get chosen of Khorne with dual weapons at tier 4. Wrathmongers tier 4. Cavalry, like Cast Knights of Khorne at tier 3. Cast Knights of Khorne Lances tier 4, all that kind of stuff. So units are more available. From my practical perspective, like, I was able to recruit very diverse armies when I've been playing these Khorne campaigns. You may not necessarily want to go for a lot of armies unless you want to fill them up with, you know, lower quality units, because your income is not necessarily going to be the greatest in the world. You do have various ways of reducing upkeep for your armies, but still, like, over here I have 4 armies, sorry, with regards to this campaign. But all of these, like, each of these armies is like kind of like a doomstack, well, an end game army, really, if you consider the situation. Though, dependent on how you're maximizing the bloodletting can be a bit tricky with some of these campaigns. Though, depends on, you know, how you want to play it. Do you want to fight everyone? Maybe you do want to fight everyone. Maybe that is the Khorne playstyle, like, declare war on everyone. So that's the Cultist of Khorne. Looking at the Blood Reaper, don't think anything's really been changed. Well, the addition, I think, of this particular skill line, so you still have, like, the Locus of Abjuration, Fury, Wrath. Then you get, I think this is new, so you get Scythe upon Chaff. You get the Leadership benefit. You get bonus to infantry and Hungering Blades. And then you get, like, Assassination, Hero Action, Success Chance, and Vigor Loss reduction. By the way, gaining one of these heroes does require you to raid. One of these legendary heroes does require you to raid the territory. In terms of the Exalted Hero, yeah, it's pretty much like unchanged. Like, the Exalted Hero of Khorne is exactly the same. With regards to army leaders, well, the Castle Lord of Khorne is, yeah, is exactly what you'd expect. You get Deathbringer, you get Burning Brand. Like, that's not really any different. If we look at the Herald of Khorne, so you get Harvest of Skulls, which gives you an upkeep magic item drop chance, skulls gained from kills, or Flammable, reducing fire resistance, and Hungering Blades. Or you get melee attack, charge bonus for Bloodletters and Skull Crushers. Then you have Lord of War, so Terror replenishes 5% campaign movement range after winning a battle. Locus of Abjuration, Locus of Fury, Locus of Wrath, with Greater Locus, effect duration plus 100% for coordinate Locus abilities. And that's the difference with the Heralds of Khorne and obviously the Bloodthirster generals. Then we have the Bloodspeaker Lord. So he's riding a Chaos Shrine. He gets minus 15% upkeep for Skull Reaper and Wrathmonger units, 10% campaign movement range, 25% vigor loss reduction, 20% post-battle loot, Pilgrimage of Skulls, so vigor per second and unbreakable for allies in range over there. You get Gruesome Display, so leadership, melee attack, causes fear. Strider for the entire army. Speed for the entire army. Armor-piercing weapon damage for the entire army. Then control, Khorne corruption, and physical resistance. And then finally, Gaze of Khorne. And also effect duration 100% to Pilgrimage of Skulls and Wild Abandon. And yeah, he also gets 30% campaign movement range after winning a battle. 20% campaign movement range after raising a settlement. It's kind of worth saying that, like, Skarbrand used to have, like, faction effects that would give you a lot of replenishment, but that was for his specific faction. It does seem to me that they took some of that and just baked it into Khorne as a race, as opposed to just tying it to Skarbrand. I mean, it made sense when Skarbrand was the only legendary lord of Khorne, the only playable Khorne lord. But obviously when you have 3 legendary lords of Khorne to play, and your Khorne is so focused on battles and moving from battle to battle, it makes sense. So those are the changes. Overall, is a much more interesting experience from my perspective. Like, I've certainly enjoyed myself a lot more playing Khorne than I did before. Like, I always found Khorne one-dimensional. I played campaigns of Skarbrand, and I would just finish them like full stacks of cast warriors of Khorne. Like, just recruiting units was, one, very expensive, took a long time, and because of the design of Skarbrand's campaign, where you could, like, if you're playing a Skarbrand campaign, it's lasting more than 20 turns, and you haven't won already, you're doing something really fucking wrong. I mean, granted, you may not achieve all the victory conditions, but basically you should have decimated your opponents. So, nowadays, though, that's, you know, is perhaps slower in terms of turn times, unless you're playing Skarbrand still. But I do find it a lot more interesting. Unit diversity, regiments, renowned heroes, lords, etc., having multiple armies. I was always disappointed by Khorne because I really liked Tarox in Warhammer 2, and I kind of expected a better campaign than that, and it wasn't a better campaign. That was my perspective. I've actually had the most fun playing Khorne with Omens of Destruction. Like I haven't played Skarbrand that much. I've been playing Arbol, I've been playing Skulltaker. I won't talk about Skulltaker, but I really, really like Arbol. Like, for me personally, like, the Arbol playstyle is possibly more in line with what I wanted for Khorne than, you know, the Skarbrand playstyle. But that's just my perspective on that. To talk about Skarbrand, though, let me just load his campaign, or start a campaign as him, and just show you some of the changes made there. So, with regards to Skarbrand, he still starts with the same army, so 2 Cast Warriors of Khorne, Bloodletters, Blood Reaper, and Cast Warhounds of Khorne. And he still starts at war, same starting position. I'll make a separate video about starting locations and defeat traits. Now, his faction effects. If we look at his faction effects, he still has replenishment in foreign territory, but he now gains the benefit of Bloodthirst plus 2 units on creation, plus 1 turns to initial Bloodthirst attrition immunity, so that's still a playstyle he's focused on. But what you may notice, like, he gets a minus 20% upkeep for Bloodthirsters and Soul Grinder units, plus 30% skulls gained from kills, Rage Embodied, Gore Feast for Bloodthirsters and Soul Grinders. He still has the same skill line, but a lot of the like Lord effects and faction effects with regards to movement range have been removed. My speculation on that particular subject is that it's been all very much baked in, so to speak, with regards to the faction. So you do gain movement range after fighting a battle, winning a battle, raising a settlement. You do still gain that movement range, as you did before. That is not different. It's just more of a race thing that just happens inherently, as opposed to like a faction thing. So those are kind of the differences over there. I think I do want either ward leaders, regardless of that. Yeah, and you still have like not all Khorne lords have replenishment in foreign territory. You do need to switch to like Demonic Portal. You can still do so with like basically no movement range, but you gotta be keeping in mind, you know, some of the downsides over there. And yeah, let's just say starting with the Demonic Settlement is not necessarily the best choice you could have over here in quite a number of ways. That would just be my perspective on that. Now, in terms of Unholy Manifestations, some changes here. So you still have Eternal War, and you do gain campaign movement range when you fight a battle, win a battle, all that. So that still happens. No worries about missing out on that aspect with regards to Mr. Skarbrand. So you still gain campaign movement range with regards to that. The second one, Khorne's Glare, gives you the ability of taking control of a targeted unoccupied ruin. You gain Slaughter Incarnate, character experience, plus 150%. And then Call of Baal, target settlement will be raised. Now what's important to note is because there's more Legendary Lords of Khorne on the campaign map, that you will actually fill up this bar far more often. It used to be like you couldn't. Good luck filling up this bar if you're playing a Skarbrand campaign. Now this bar will fill up. What will happen if, you know, when the great game of the Chaos Gods favors Khorne? Well, here's some of the things that happen. Eternal War doesn't spawn a bigger army. I think it gives you more campaign movement range, if I'm not mistaken. Khorne's Glare will give you a tier 2 settlement when you're using it. Pretty important. More, and I imagine more character experience, gained, all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of tricky to talk about that because it's obviously randomized, so you don't have control. Now, what's crucial, though, you might use one of these unholy manifestations, and then the great game of the Chaos Gods, you know, favors Khorne. The cooldowns will be reset because there's separate cooldowns for the enhanced versions of these unholy manifestations. Kind of an important point to make with regards to all of that. So more Bloodhost units. Let's go with that. Skulls for the Skull Throne, right? Skulls for the Skull Throne. So those are the changes to unholy manifestation. Those are the changes to Khorne that I think are worth talking about. Overall, quite like it. I especially like Arbol. Would I play a Skarbrand campaign more? Probably not. Would I confederate Skarbrand? That's a different discussion, isn't it? I just don't really care about Skarbrand's campaign. As a legendary lord leading an army, sure, but his campaign, yeah, whatever. I don't think that they've convinced me to play this campaign more, especially since he starts with demonic units. And look, with regards to embargoes, we can talk about stuff that CA has revealed publicly. You saw what Skulltaker starts with as units. It's a similar issue there. Like, you're just wasting several turns to just switch mortal to a mortal settlement, then several turns more to start recruiting Cast Warriors of Khorne, Cultist of Khorne, you know, Cast Warriors of Khorne with halberds, gang cavalry. But, like, once you get the tier 3 settlement, you've got cavalry. You've got chariots. You've got Chosen and Skull Reapers. That is a phenomenal difference from my point of view. That's all I had to say. Costin signing out. Stay tuned for more.